Just want to download more information into your mind about We Are the Jews. Here's a book called Shakespeare and the Jews by James Shapiro. This book was written by Columbia University Press, publisher since 1893. I'm going to go to page 171, and we're going to drop down to this area, and it reads, "And when the Scottish minister Robert Kirk toured London in January 1690, he also paid a visit to the synagogue there, where he observed over 200 Jews worshiping. He noted in his journal that they were all very black men and indistinct in their reasonings as gypsies." They were all black men, see that? Below that it says, "A new voyage in Italy made clear that it is a vulgar error that the Jews are all black. This, Mission observes, is only true of the Portuguese Jews, who, marrying always among one another, beget children like themselves, which are black. Consequently, the swarthiness of their complexion is entailed upon their whole race, even in the northern region. But the Jews who are originally of Germany, those, for example, I have seen as Prague, are not blacker than the rest of their countrymen." And the reason for this, being in the northern countries, a lot of the Jews were forgetting their customs, and they were marrying other nations. More of the Israelites married other nations north versus those of the south. So those of Portugal, Spain, Iberian Peninsula stuck with their own, but those of the northern hemispheres married into other races and other cultures. Here's a book called Source of History in the Pentateuch by Samuel C. Bartlett. This was copyrighted in 1883 by Anson D. F. Randolph and Company. And this is page 118, History in the Pentateuch. Down below here in the second paragraph it says, "In regard to the human race, it has been shown abundantly and historically, 1, that each of the external differences often ceases to be characteristic. Thus, the black color is found not only in individuals as the black Jews of Portugal, but in tribes as the Bicaris on the Red Sea, whose hair and character are perfectly Semitic." And you notice the Bicaris are dark people with woolly hair. "And the white color in the brutalized descendants," I mentioned the brutalized descendants of certain exiled Irish of Ulster, whose features are almost of the African type. So this is why we say that the Irish are black, because there were Israelites who dwelt in those lands during the days of the New Testament, and even before that. This book is called The Monarchs of Scotland. The Monarchs of Scotland. Stuart Ross, by Stuart Ross. This book was published in 1990 by Stuart Ross. Page 143. This is The Monarchs of Scotland, James VII, 1685 to 1689, James II of England. This is King James' sons. Born 1633, died 1701. Marriage, Anne Hyde, Mary of Modena. Children by Anne Hyde, Charles, James, Charles, Edgar, Henrietta. And Catherine by Mary of Modena, Charles, James, Catherine, Charlotte, and Louisa. They had a lot of children. James VII was 52 when he inherited the Scottish throne from his brother, Charles II. Superficially, the two men were quite alike. They both had large, lugubrious faces set with heavy eyebrows and fleshy lips. So this is telling you these are those men from Ireland whose fathers were of a Negro heritage, of Israelite heritage. James was a fairly tall, physically vigorous man who shared his brother's almost insatiable desire for women. Yet the contrast between the brothers were far more striking than any similarities. Where Charles was dark, James was fair-headed and light-skinned. All right, so it's telling you right here that you had a dark brother and a red-bone, light-skinned brother. All right, so King James was black, and so was his sons. This is a book called Fairborne's Crests of the Families of Great Britain and Ireland. James Fairborne, revised by Lawrence Butlers. This book was copyrighted in 1986. We're just going to turn to the crest, and as you can see on this page, you can see on Pilot 48, it shows the crest, and you can see how we were warriors and how our shields always had Negroes on there as warriors. Just showing you. There's another one. As you notice, you always see a lot of lions. There's another one. There's the Queen, King James' mother, Victoria. There's another brother, could be Native American. Okay, we were on these shields. We were the warriors of those days. Okay, these were those strangers that met Constantine. Just so you know, these are the strangers who met Constantine. See that? We got our kings and our queens and our warriors on these shields. This is what history don't talk about. History don't even mention this stuff. But we're all wrapped up in Great Britain and England and Ireland. And when these men went down to Portugal, they couldn't believe that even in Portugal that the Jews were as black as they were in England. This is why they came to the Americas and they tried to eliminate all the Native Americans here because they look just like us. They said, how can the sons of Shem and Ham be all over the earth and we have nothing? Let's take it back even a little further than that. Let's go to Constantine the First, 863 to 877 C. Now, this says, Constantine seems to have been very much a typical 9th century warrior king. Most of his energies were spent combating Vikings' assaults or attempting to extend his authority south of the Fourth Clyde line. In 872, Constantine arranged for the murder of Run, king of Strathclyde, who was married to one of Constantine's sisters. And it is possible that at this time the more southerly kingdom became dependent upon Scotia. Let's drop down to the third paragraph. In the end, however, the Danes, we know that the Danes to be Israelites. When you read the book of Iliad, you'll find out that the Danes were Israelites. In the end, however, the Danes had their revenge. A sinister party known as the Black Strangers had been driven from Dublin and had established themselves in Fife. From here, they launched raids on Constantine, eventually slaying him in battle. Tradition has it that he met his end in the long black cave or cove near Krail in Fife. So these black strangers, if you do further research, you'll find out that these were Israelites.